I've got a few critiques about Smile 2. This is a spoiler warning for this review, so if you want to see the movie, scroll past this video. I'm gonna get into a few things from the actual movie that I have a problem with. We need to talk about some of these kills, the deaths, and some of the things that I thought were a bit formulaic about Smile 2. Let's start with some of the death scenes. They've been promoting this movie as being gorier and scarier and bloodier than the first movie. And while I will say some scenes delivered, I feel like a few scenes did not hit as hard as they could have. The first major kill in the movie is Lucas Gage's character, which we've all seen in the trailer. When I saw in the trailer that he was going to smash his face with a weight, I was a little skeptical at first. Like, a weight? I mean, definitely a painful death, but that's not very gruesome. Especially compared to Laura's death in the first movie. I mean, she literally cut her throat while smiling. I felt like it was a lot more effective than smashing your face in with a weight. Although I will say the way that scene unfolded with Lucas Gage was absolutely terrifying. He just kept smiling at Naomi Scott's character with each hit that he did of the weight, and his face kept getting more and more deformed, yet he was still smiling through every hit, to the point where his face was so deformed you couldn't even see his facial features, yet you still knew he was smiling. It was gruesome, it was shocking, and definitely one of the more scary moments in this film. Now, we need to talk about how the movie was a bit formulaic. You might remember this scene here, where Sosie Bacon's character is sitting across from her therapist, and then gets a phone call from her therapist, showing that the therapist she's sitting across from is not actually her therapist. It's the Smile entity. They had a scene in Smile 2 that played out exactly like this one, where she's in the car with her best friend, who you see in the trailer, the girl with dark hair. The best friend is driving, she gets a phone call, and on the phone, it's the best friend calling. And I knew immediately it was a carbon copy of that scene with the therapist where the best friend that's in the car with her is not actually her best friend. It's the Smile entity. You also might remember this scene at the birthday party where the Smile entity is this woman staring at her in the room full of parents, and no one else can see it but her, and she's like, "Why are you smiling at me? What are you?" And she looks away for a second, and when she turns around, she's in her face. In Smile 2, this scene plays out exactly like that birthday scene plays out, where this man, which is played by Ray Nicholson, and if you don't already recognize him, he is the son of horror legend Jack Nicholson, which I thought was an incredible touch. But anyway, this scene plays out exactly like the birthday scene does, where there's someone in the crowd smiling at her, she's screaming, "Why are you smiling at me?" No one else can see it but her, looks away for a second, and knew it was going to have a similar moment where it pops up in her face and it's a jump scare. Sure enough, he pops up in her face. It's moments like that that I saw coming because I've seen the first film and I love it so much. It was formulaic in that sense, I saw it coming. But then the ending. I figured from early on that Naomi Scott's character, Sky Riley, was not going to be able to shake the curse, and I figured the movie would end with her on stage during a concert, somehow unaliving herself on stage in front of millions of people. And I liked the build up to this scene. There's a moment similar to the first one where you actually see the Smile entity literally pries itself into her body, and all of this happens in front of an audience on stage. So it was apparent that the entity overcame her while she's on stage in front of an entire audience of fans. And while I liked the build-up, they didn't show the final act at all. The shot stays on the audience as she unalives herself on stage in front of everyone, but it doesn't show it at all. It just shows the audience's horrified reaction. And then it cuts to her bloodied with the microphone in her eye, which I felt in itself was just anticlimactic. I wanted it to be more grand. The whole idea of the Smile entity is it has to be grand and in front of everyone. And I just felt a microphone through the eye was just kind of meh, on top of them not showing it happening at all. We watched Laura Weaver unalive herself in front of Dr. Cotter. I just think it would have been so much more effective if she stood there and smiled and did it. That's the whole premise of the Smile entity, is to do it while smiling and make it seem like it's nothing. I don't know, it just felt kind of mild and I expected something more dramatic. My last critique, and this is a call out to the marketing team, whoever puts together the trailers, stop putting every single scene from the movie in the trailer. For example, the opening scene is with Kyle Gallner, and we've already seen this clip in the trailer. I didn't know this was him when I saw it in the trailer, but the moment the movie started and we established that it was him, we saw how this plays out in the trailer. That he gets hit by a truck and it's bloody. We saw how that played out, so I knew exactly where it was going to go. It was very predictable. I speak very passionately about this because I can't stand that. Like, I would have been shocked at what happens to him when he gets hit by a truck. I would have been shocked that that happened had I not seen it play out in the trailer. So yeah, all in all, I love Smile 2. It had some great moments. I think it could have pushed the boundaries a lot more, especially in terms of the gore and scares. It's a solid sequel, but for fans of the first film, some of it just felt a little predictable and underwhelming. But what did you guys think? I want to know. Did it feel too familiar, or did it still keep you on edge? It definitely kept me on edge regardless. Drop your thoughts below, and as always, don't stop smiling.